Hey guys, I want to begin by saying sorry for missing a few weeks, but I'm back this week and I'm reviewing Black Death, which is a 2010 historical. It's called a horror movie, but I don't think it really is. It's directed by Christopher Smith, who directed Creep, Triangle and Severance. And as the film's title kind of suggests, it's about the kind of bubonic plague and stuff which hit people in medieval times. And the film is a kind of man on a mission, or men on a mission kind of film. And it begins with a character called Osmond, who's played by Eddie Redmayne, who actually was in the amazing miniseries which is called Pillars of the Earth, which I absolutely loved, and I highly recommend watching if you haven't seen it. But the weird thing is he plays a monk, and he's wearing pretty much the same costume that he wore in Pillars of Earth, so that was a bit strange. But anyway, you have this monk called Osmond, who is secretly in love with a girl who his fellow monks don't realise he's in love with. And one day, she kind of gives him this choice. She decides to leave and tells him to meet her at this place, and if he doesn't go, then that's the end of it for them. And so he prays to God, for this sign that he can continue God's work outside of this monastery. And just by chance, a group of I think they're men who work for the bishop or something, arrive at the church, led by a guy called Ulrich, who's played by Sean Bean. And they basically ask for a monk to guide them to this village, which is in the middle of a swamp. And so Osmond jumps at the chance to leave the monastery, kind of secretly intending to meet up with his girlfriend. But a few things happen along the way, and they end up getting in a lot of trouble. So the reason they're heading to this village is that this village supposedly hasn't been affected by the plague. Everywhere else, people are dying, left, right, and centre, and this place seems not to have been hit by the plague. So it turns out that they believe that there is a necromancer at work in this place. So they are actually charged of hunting down this necromancer who lives in the village. That is kind of the plot of the film. The actual film itself begins quite slow. I wasn't that keen on the beginning. It took a while to get going, and the characters weren't that interesting. There's quite a few characters in this who make up kind of the band of men that leave there. The main two, though, well, actually there's three. You have Ulrich, who's played by Sean Bean, who's kind of the, billed as being the main character, but actually Osmond is probably more of a main character, the monk, who's kind of your eyes as an audience through this film. Sean Bean's character is interesting, although you don't really get to know him that well in the film. He's a very religious man, but at the same time quite, I guess, brutal or realistic, I guess. So even though you don't get to know him that well in the film, you have a bunch of other guys who make up this kind of band of men. I think I can't remember any of their names, but none of them are particularly that interesting either. So the characters are okay, they do their purpose, but it's not it's not a character study sort of film. You're not going to learn that much about them. But the actual film itself, the second half, when you get into this village and you find out about like these strange goings on and about this necromancer and stuff, that's when the film for me got really interesting, because it kind of it dealt with religion and the bubonic plague at the same time, and they kind of there's a scene towards the end of the movie where the men are trapped, and this necromancer is asking the main character, the monk, to renounce God, and it's a really interesting scene and a really interesting idea, and I ended up really liking this film. It's not the best movie ever, but I really did enjoy it. I quite like these kind of medieval themed films, and this was a really good one. But like I said, it does the first kind of a half hour or so did feel kind of slow. But overall I really enjoyed it. I'd recommend it. It's not the best movie ever, but for me it was kind of a surprise, so I quite enjoyed it. So that is Black Death.